Hello and welcome to the White Witch podcast with me, Carly. Hope you are all well, witches. On this episode, we are looking at some different themes that have come up this April. First off, life lately has involved planting a ton of seeds for my garden as I'm determined to create a witchy cottage-style garden with lots of traditional flowers that I can use in my craft. Two of the flowers that I have started planting seeds for are hollyhocks and cornflowers. And I was really curious if they had witchy associations. Once again, I was overwhelmed by how many they do actually have with the craft and deities and so on. Another experience I had this month was when I was driving one evening at dusk in the countryside near me. I had the weirdest 5 minutes, which felt like a Disney movie, where every single animal popped out in front of me, resulting in me driving about 5 miles an hour. 2 deers leaped across the road, bunnies hopped out, saw some quails, pheasants, and then an owl swooped past the car. It generally felt like the most magical experience ever. So we are also going to be looking at the owl and its many associations with witches, deities, and magic. So witches, let's start off by looking at the hollyhock. Its Latin name is Alcea rosea. The name Alcea comes from the Greek word for healing. Its magical associations are fertility, protection, the cycle of life, growth, hope, abundance, ambition, success, optimism, joy, self-assuredness, healing, healing from the past, healing land, reconnecting with the old ways, remembering past lives, strengthening confidence and spiritual energy, reclaiming and realigning with heritage, creativity, openness to new ideas, honoring the feminine and fairy magic. Hollyhocks are towering hardy plants that can grow up to 8 feet tall. Much of their first year of growing is roots and possibly a rosette, but by the second year, they are said to shoot up. They were often planted by front doors as a nod to prosperity, almost like a floral banner saying, "This household thrives." It was thought to promote abundance in the household in both wealth, power, and fertility. At the end of the hollyhock cycle, it will reseed itself in abundance, ensuring the next generation. Their towering stalks were also used as a natural camouflage for outhouses during the Victorian era and gave them the nickname of outhouse flower. The sight of hollyhocks meant guests could tell where the outhouse was located. There are even some seed varieties of the hollyhock called outhouse hollyhock. Hollyhocks are known as sentinel plants, said to protect the home and garden. Considered guardians at the gate, planted near doorways or garden gates, they are believed to ward off evil spirits and misfortune. They are often linked to goddesses such as Demeter and Ceres due to their association with fertility as a result of their prolific seeding. They are ideal to use in rituals to attract wealth, but also to ensure the fertility of fields. Their seed pods are round, so sometimes used as symbolic of a well-stuffed purse. In being round, they earned the nickname of fairy cheese due to their resemblance to a wheel of cheese. Due to its tendency to produce in abundance, hollyhock is often associated with Lamass. Due to hollyhock's symbolism of growth and rebirth, it's ideal to use in rituals relating to abundance. They can be used in ancestral work as they represent the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, and can often be a common choice for burial rites or altars dedicated to remembrance. In ancient Egypt, hollyhocks played a part in the solemn rituals of life and death. Wreaths of hollyhocks were laid with the mummified and believed to guide souls on their journey to the afterlife, bringing them goodwill and safety. The earliest known reference to hollyhock symbolism reaches back to a remarkable archaeological discovery made between 1957 and 1961 at Shanidar Cave in Iraq. During these excavations, 9 Neanderthal skeletons were uncovered, believed to date back some 60,000 to 80,000 years. One of these burials appeared to show signs of a more intentional and almost ceremonial laying to rest, with traces of pollen suggesting the presence of various plants, hollyhock among them. However, it is worth noting that this interpretation remains debated. Some researchers believe the pollen may not have been placed deliberately, but instead introduced later by burrowing rodents moving through the soil. Even in more recent times, hollyhocks have been grown in graveyards, particularly along fences and gates. They are connected to the Fae, as it is said the hollyhocks stalks serve as a ladder for fairies to climb. The flowers themselves were considered as the skirts worn by flower fairies. There is said to be a classic tradition of making hollyhock dolls by joining an open flower with a bud using a twig or toothpick, the flower acting as the skirt and the bud as the head. There is a recipe dating back to 1660 that recommends combining hollyhock, marigolds, wild thyme, and hazel buds in order for mortals to see the fairy folk in their garden. So hollyhock is also linked to and said to help open the heart chakra due to their associations with encouragement and joy. They are a relative of the marshmallow, and all parts of the hollyhock are edible. They have a long history of medicinal use. When I say marshmallow, this is the actual plant itself, not the pink fluffy thing, but the original marshmallows were made with the marshmallow plant. I don't know if that's still something that's done now, but that's originally how they were created. So flowers and leaves of hollyhock can be used in teas or added to food for decorative purposes, and they are considered a gentle healer within the kitchen. Medicinally, hollyhock is rich in mucilage, a soothing gelatinous substance found within the plant's roots and seeds. This lends the plant its deeply softening and protective qualities, and it has been long used in teas and poultices to ease sore throats, calm respiratory complaints, and relieve gastrointestinal discomfort. Applied externally, it has also been used as a compress for bruises, sunburn, and even more serious wounds. During the Middle Ages, hollyhock tea was commonly prepared to support ailments of the lungs and bladder. The plant is still regarded as beneficial for these purposes today, as well as for easing constipation, soothing ulcers, and reducing inflammation of the skin, which is why it often appears in lotions and topical remedies. It has also been traditionally used to help stop bleeding and is believed to assist in breaking down and passing kidney stones. So the name hollyhock possibly originates from Old English, where holly means holy and hock refers to mallow, holy mallow. This is one variation on it. And hollyhock is a form, again as mentioned, of wild marshmallow. One legend ties the name to the Holy Lands, suggesting hollyhocks were brought back from the Middle East to Europe by crusaders returning from the Holy Wars around the year 1500. Knights reportedly found a use for the plant after concocting a salve from its leaves to soothe injuries on their horses' hind legs or hocks. This practical use possibly inspired the flower's name. The hollyhock quickly became a staple of medieval gardens. During the Tudor era, hollyhocks were closely woven into the fabric of women's healing traditions. The blooms were often steeped in wine and taken with the belief that they could help prevent miscarriage. In times of difficult labour, hollyhock shoots were consumed to ease the body through birth. Continuing this thread of nurturing and renewal, the plant was also given to infants who would chew the shoots to soothe the discomfort of teething. Beyond its place in funerary rites, hollyhock also found its way into everyday life as a source of nourishment. The ancient Egyptians and later the Romans are said to have eaten the roots, which are naturally rich in sugars, preparing them by boiling or frying. By the 1800s, hollyhock had taken on a more indulgent form. Its sap was whipped, sweetened with sugar, then poured into moulds and sold as a delicate confectionery. In the Victorian art of florography, hollyhocks represent ambition, fertility, and abundance. To gift hollyhocks was symbolic of a gentle nudge to chase one's dreams, or a heartfelt well done for reaching a milestone. A quiet yet powerful way to encourage or celebrate lifestyle achievements. Today, they are ideal for gifting for housewarmings, promotions, graduations, and birthdays. So, red hollyhocks are said to symbolise a deep connection with love, romance, and passion. Purple hollyhocks represent charm, grace, but also transition. Purple is, of course, a regal colour, symbolic of royalty, tradition, status, and charm. White hollyhocks symbolise innocence, purity, honesty, and fertility. Pink hollyhocks symbolise sensitivity, femininity, love, and thoughtfulness. Yellow hollyhocks symbolise friendship, trust, and respect. And black hollyhocks symbolise mystery and fairy life. They are a magnet for pollinators, including bees and butterflies, and are quintessential cottage garden plants. Although found worldwide, the hollyhock is said to originate from regions such as China, Southern Europe, and Northern Africa. So we're going to move on to looking at the owl, and I did this research a while back for some grimoire pages over on Patreon, and I'm so surprised that I haven't looked at the owl on the podcast. I'm still convinced that I have, but I've gone through the back catalogue and apparently I haven't, so here we go. The owl has been woven into myths and legends of witches, goddesses, and sorcery throughout many different cultures. This mysterious creature of the night has been considered an omen of death, a bringer of prophecy, a sign of evil to come, but overall symbolic of witchcraft, deep wisdom, inner knowledge, esoteric knowledge, magic, transformation, rebirth, renewal, change, birth, death, new beginnings with a higher understanding and evolved perspective, connecting and listening to our intuition, medicine, the weather, the energy of the night and moon, and feminine intuition. A belief in Europe during the Middle Ages was of witches taking the forms of owls in order to access the astral realm, or if they needed to escape dangerous situations quickly. Demons were also believed to take the form of owls to work on behalf of their witches' whims or join them on nighttime flights upon their brooms. Charms used to protect from the owl in a malevolent form were throwing salt into the fire, tying knots into a handkerchief, and turning your pockets inside out. Long considered an omen of death, Julius Caesar's murder was said to be heralded by the screeching of multiple owls. Many other emperors' deaths were also believed to be announced by the shriek of the owl. A Roman custom was to nail an owl to the door of a house to keep evil away. This tradition continued in many countries. In Great Britain, this practice continued into the 1950s, where owls would be nailed to barn doors to act as a ward, protecting cattle from fire, lightning, thunder, and storms. William Shakespeare wrote of the owl as a premonition of death in both Macbeth and Julius Caesar. Sir Walter Scott later wrote in his poem The Legend of Montrose: birds of omen dark and foul, night crow, raven, bat and owl, leave the sick man to his dream, all night long he heard your scream. Throughout Europe, the owl was generally seen as a harbinger of doom and bad tidings. This was surmised upon in many plays and poems. The root of much superstition related to the owl is a result of their nocturnal nature, a carnivorous animal that possesses a warrior energy when necessary. Considered by some as the eagle of the night, their ability to rotate their necks 360 degrees lent to an English myth that should you see an owl perched in a tree, walking around the tree, the owl would follow you with its eyes until it wound up wringing its own neck. An owl circling during the day was considered an omen for bad news for someone nearby. Again, the hoot of an owl, an omen of death, but also illness or bad weather. The owl is connected to the Sabbath of Samhain, where it is said that upon Samhain night, owls would swoop down to eat the souls of the dead. Appalachian mountain legend tells of owls hooting at night, signifying death is coming. And much of Appalachian tradition can be traced back to the Scottish Highlands, where the owl is closely linked to the Cailleach, the primordial Celtic goddess. Celtic folklore speaks of the owl's ability to unmask or provide you with wisdom of those who are attempting to deceive or take advantage of you. In Celtic texts, the owl generally appeared as female in all white and linked to the crone aspect of the goddess. Blodeuwedd, an otherworldly Celtic goddess, was turned into an owl as penance for the attempted murder of her husband. The owl's soft feathers enable it to fly swiftly and silently through the night. Historically in Great Britain, owls represented death and negative energy. Therefore, feathers would be used to repel death and unpleasant energies. Witches today are more inclined to incorporate naturally found owl feathers in magic work relating to knowledge, wisdom, and mental pursuits. Shamanic perspective of the owl is that they represent intuition, change, revelation, wisdom, and death. The shamanic aspect of death is considered the highest spiritual state to be attained, for it represents the death of the ego, which leads to spiritual ascension. Our energy can lead us to deep subconscious transformation, death of a part of our ego that can help us to reach a higher version of ourselves. They can help us with change, uncovering truths that we need to face, whilst understanding, although it is hard, it can lead us to a higher reality and deep wisdom of who we truly are. Owls can show up for us in true physical form or as statues, symbols, and images to give us a sign. You could sit in darkness to align with the owl's nocturnal energy, but also silence, and ask your spirit guides, deities, ancestors, angels, or the universe what sign they are trying to present to you. Owl can indicate we need to work on our shadow selves or shadow work in order to expose something in our subconscious that remains hidden. New revelations about ourselves, healing from past trauma, connecting with our purpose within this lifetime, and learning the truth of who we really are. To see an owl is considered truly lucky. Consider them not as an omen of literal death, but more like the death card within tarot. The indication that you are about to embark on significant change that will lead you on a path to your own truth. To see them frequently may mean they are guiding you as a power animal. They often show up when you are asked to listen to your intuition, or they can assist us in accessing messages from the spirit realm that can align us with our higher self and offer up new perspective to a situation. The owl has long been considered a messenger between the living and the dead, so may also make themselves known to you if you are working on your psychic skills. Our energy relates to deep subconscious transformation and can help us to release what is no longer serving us, ask us to be adaptable, allow change, and to look inside ourselves for the answers we seek. Also, to be aware of possible deception on the part of others. Owl asks that we have the ability to look behind others' masks and acts as a messenger of secrets and omens. Owl can also teach us to seek out freedom, comfort in our shadow, and work with the magic of the moon. Dreaming of an owl is said to advise you to be more cautious and observant, but also heralds you could be called to awaken to your true nature and strength. In ancient times, the feathers of owls were used by healers to lull people to sleep. A common familiar to the witch, the owl is closely linked to goddesses such as Athena, Arianrhod, and Blodewerth. Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom, originally possessed a crow who was a terrible trickster. She banished the crow to seek out a more suitable animal companion, finding herself with an owl. She was enamored with the owl's seriousness and wisdom. The owl that specifically represents Athena is called the little owl or Athene noctura and became the animal that would represent the goddess. Coins were minted with Athena's face on one side and an owl on the other. The owl gained protection status in Athens due to its association with Athena, and Greek armies adopted it as a sign of inspiration. They also believed should an owl fly over the army prior to battle, it was an omen of imminent victory to them. Athena's little owl would perch on her shoulder and had the ability to light up Athena's blind side, revealing to her unseen truths and helped the goddess to expand her natural wisdom. Another one of my many tangents, but talking wisdom with Athena and the owl. Over on my Patreon, The Hedge and Hollow, we have had a bit of a different theme that started in the middle of March and is finishing up the end of April. However, it is a bit of a journey that you can work on at your own pace. It is moving through different aspects of the craft, not to overwhelm you, but to give you foundations you can return to again and again. So, for the first week, we had an initiation, and this was either to initiate yourself as a witch. This is like a ritual that you could perform yourself, or to reconfirm and recommit to your witchcraft practice. That was entirely optional, but alongside that, we had what it means to walk the crooked path. We looked at grounding, protection, and returning to yourself at the foundation of your practice. So last week we looked at the days of the week, and this was a series of short daily audio drops alongside grimoire sheets, exploring the energy of each day, the planetary influences, and how you might work with them in simple, intuitive ways. And as ever, I went really deep on the research for this. So there was a ton in there in regards to spell work that you could carry out on these days, and also some spells and rituals that you could use also. So for this week, we've got our Hedge Witch studies, and this is grimoire pages for Hollyhock and for Cornflower. For next week, we have our Grimoire Week. This is a week devoted to your book of magic. So I'll be sharing some printable pages and guidance so you can begin to deepen your own grimoire in a way that feels personal, or perhaps begin working on one. Then for week 5, we have Spellcraft Foundations. So this is stripping spell work back to its essence of energy, intention, and belief. And we will explore some simple forms of spellcraft and how to work with them overall. And then for week 6, we have a week of integration, the witch within. So who are you becoming through this work? And I'll be closing the academy with a guided visualization, said that really weird, to meet the witch you are stepping into and anchor that identity moving forward. So you can access all of that through the Sorceress tier, which is £8 a month. But should you wish to join the higher tier, the witches who run with the wolves, you'll be able to join me and our fellow witches for a live workshop held on Thursday, 23rd of April from 7 p.m. UK time via Zoom. There will be a replay available the following day if you can't make it on the night. But yes, I would love to see you in there. For the witches who run with the wolves tier, it is £13 a month. And with Patreon, you can cancel at any time. You're not tied into anything. I will put a link in the show notes if you would like to sign up, and I would love to see you in there. So last but not least, let's look at the cornflower. Its magical associations are psychic awakening, love, fertility, attraction, beauty, protection, purity, grace. It enhances divination, intuition, psychic awakening, and spiritual clarity, and it helps access self-knowledge. Known as the wishing flower, using rituals to manifest and bring your intentions to fruition. Write your wish on a piece of paper and bury it with cornflower petals to amplify the energy of your manifestation. Cornflower can be used to create a vibrant blue ink for writing in grimoires or Book of Shadows. Press or boil the petals to create a blue ink and use for writing spells, grimoire entries, and perhaps automatic psychic writing. Connected to the third eye and throat chakras, it can aid in clairvoyance, so drinking cornflower tea before meditation or divination is said to sharpen focus and spiritual insight. Its celestial blue colour symbolises connection to the higher realms, divine guidance, spirit guides, and angels. Using rituals when attempting to communicate or connect with these energies. Cornflower's energy is said to help clear mental fog, aid with focus, and assist problem solving. Ideal for writers, students, and creatives to work with if seeking clarity or inspiration. With its vivid blue bloom, cornflower is often linked to clarity of thought, clear communication, and the energy of the throat. It is particularly powerful in working centered around truth, expression, and mental focus. Placed upon the altar during meditation or used within rituals, it is believed to clear confusion and allow for direct, unclouded communication, both with others and within oneself. Under the rulership of Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and harmony, cornflower naturally lends itself to matters of the heart. It is often woven into love sachets, attraction jars, or ritual baths to draw in connection, nurture existing bonds, and cultivate self-love. When paired with herbs such as rose, lavender, or yarrow, its energy deepens emotional resonance and strengthens the threads of affection and attraction. Cornflower petals placed in shoes, often the right shoe, can help attract lovers. Work with cornflower for emotional healing, but also to help release fears, anxieties, and insecurities. It is said to support inner peace and encourage a positive outlook on life. Cornflower has long been regarded as a protective plant, used to guard against harmful forces, both seen and unseen. Placed at the thresholds of the home or carried in a small sachet, it is thought to ward off ill intention, psychic disturbance, and unwanted energies. Some practitioners also work with cornflower upon the altar during protection rites, allowing its presence to form a quiet but steady shield. They are considered symbols of nature and its independence. Cornflower is associated with summer and the solar energy of the sun. Add to rituals and spell work around growth and vitality. Cornflower is connected to the elements of water and air, planets Venus and Saturn, the zodiac sign of Cancer, the third eye, crown, and throat chakras, and the crystal lapis lazuli. And it holds a feminine or gender fluid energy. Aligned with the element of water, cornflower moves easily within the emotional and unseen realms, making it a powerful ally for strengthening intuitive and psychic senses. When used in divination, whether through tarot, scrying, or other forms, it is believed to sharpen vision and deepen inner knowing. Its gentle, calming nature allows the mind to soften, creating space for clearer messages to arise. Dried petals may be burned as incense, added to teas, or placed within spell jars to open the pathways between worlds. It is said Zeus, father of the gods, transformed himself into a cornflower to seduce Hera, making the flowers symbolic of love and beauty. And throughout Greek mythology, the cornflower does represent love and beauty. The centaur Chiron was said to use cornflower, which is the namesake of the genus Centauria, which comes from the centaur, which is of course half man and half horse. So Chiron used it to heal wounds from arrows poisoned by Hydra blood. Hydra's blood was a highly toxic, corrosive poison that originated from the nine-headed Lernaean Hydra. The nine-headed Lernaean Hydra is one of the most fearsome creatures in Greek mythology, said to dwell in the marshes of Lerna. It was a monstrous, serpent-like beast, its many heads coiling and hissing above the water, and for every head that was cut off, 2 more would grow in its place. At the centre of its writhing form was a single immortal head that could not be destroyed. The Hydra was the offspring of the monstrous pair Typhon and Echidna, placing it among a lineage of ancient chthonic beings tied to chaos and the underworld. Its breath and blood were said to be so poisonous that even its scent could kill. The creature is most famously known through the second labour of Heracles. Tasked with slaying it, he discovered that brute force alone would not defeat the Hydra. With the help of his nephew Iolaus, he burned each severed neck to prevent the heads from regenerating, and finally buried the immortal head beneath a great stone. Even in death, the Hydra's power endured. Heracles dipped his arrows in its venom, making them lethally potent. Symbolically, the Hydra is often seen as a representation of problems that multiply when faced improperly. Shadow aspects that regenerate when only superficially addressed, or the deep ancient forces that dwell beneath the surface, waiting in the unseen, like the still waters of Lerna. In Roman mythology, cornflowers were symbolic of the goddess Juno, who represented marriage and was a patron saint of women and children. Cornflowers were often used in wedding ceremonies to symbolize good luck and fertility. So in Roman mythology, they are generally associated with fertility and good luck. In Germanic mythology, cornflowers were considered symbolic of beauty and the purity of nature. They were used as a medicinal plant and considered protection against evil spirits and diseases. Druids used cornflowers as a medicinal plant and also believed they provided protection from witchcraft and evil spirits. In Celtic mythology, cornflowers were associated with the goddess Brigid, particularly her associations with fertility, healing, and poetry. In ancient Egypt, cornflower was closely associated with the afterlife. The blooms were placed within the tombs of the pharaohs, symbolizing eternal life, resurrection, and the soul's journey through the underworld. Some historians suggest this practice may have also been intended to offer protection and safe passage for the deceased. These protective qualities would later echo through European folk magic, where cornflower was used by witches to ward off harmful spirits and guard against darker forces. By the Middle Ages, cornflower had taken on a more personal role in both protection and divination. Soldiers were known to carry the flower into battle, believing it would shield them from harm and strengthen their courage. In heraldry, cornflowers were used to symbolize bravery and loyalty. They were also often used in poems and songs to describe the beauty of nature and the purity of love. Sometimes referred to as witch's bells, witch's thimble, bachelor's button, blue bottle, ragged sailor, hurt sickle because of its tough stems blunting the reaper's tools, and devil's flower. During the Victorian era, single young men wore cornflowers in their buttonholes if searching for a partner. If it faded quickly, it meant he should find another sweetheart. If it remained vibrant, it was a sign he should marry. If a girl wore a cornflower, it meant she was available for marriage. It was also believed if a girl hid a cornflower under her apron, she would have the bachelor of her choice. Its common name of cornflower was given as it was often found growing in fields of grain and considered a weed. Corn was once the blanket term for food grains like barley, rye, wheat, and so on. Dried cornflowers are an ingredient of the Lady Grey blend of Twinings, an absolute elite tea, my favourite tea, Lady Grey. Cornflower was once used as a dye in champagne also. The flowers of cornflower have a slightly spicy and sweet flavour similar to cloves, apparently. I haven't tried them myself. And these can be added to salads or even drinks and so on. I'm growing some at the moment and I want to put them on like the icing of cakes. Oh, always cakes. And yeah, within salads and drinks as well. But this is definitely something that I want to add to some food things, especially for the Sabbats. Rooted in a long history of healing, cornflower carries a soothing, restorative quality that works gently upon both body and spirit. It is especially supportive in easing emotional wounds, calming anxiety, and softening the edges of heartbreak. Added to baths, blended into poultices, or used alongside herbs such as chamomile and calendula, it encourages deep restoration. It is also traditionally used to promote restful sleep, whether in dream pillows or taken as a calming tea before bed. It is renowned for its ability to soothe tired and inflamed eyes. Water infused with cornflower is often used as an eye rinse to alleviate conjunctivitis, redness, and eye strain. Cornflower has mild digestive properties and can help soothe an upset stomach and improve digestion. Its anti-inflammatory properties makes it ideal for reducing swelling and treating minor skin irritations. Cornflower is believed to strengthen the immune system, help the body resist illness, and recover more quickly. Its calming energy is said to help reduce stress and anxiety and promote mental clarity and emotional resilience. A tea or infusion can be brewed from cornflower. You can place cornflowers on your altar to symbolize clarity, protection, and divine connection during rituals and meditations. Work with cornflower in dream work through keeping petals under your pillow to encourage vivid dreams and spiritual insights. Cornflower carries a potent and versatile energy, long called upon in magical practice for its ability to support intuition, protection, love, healing, and clarity. And work with cornflower for inner child work and to encourage being gentle with yourself during healing processes. Add cornflower petals to ritual baths in order to cleanse the aura, promote relaxation, and connect with higher energies. Growing cornflowers is a blessing to impatient gardeners, as the seeds will only take around a week to start sprouting. So, to finish up this episode, I found a little bit of folklore relating to a cornflower wraith. Habernitsa is a figure rooted in Slavic folklore, often described as a noon demon, one of the spirits said to appear in the fields at the height of the day when the sun stands still and the air grows heavy. She is closely related to the wider tradition of the Polednika, or Lady Midday, a spirit known to haunt grain fields during harvest season. Habernitsa is said to dwell among crops such as wheat, rye, and cornflowers, emerging when the sun is at its zenith. Those who linger too long in the fields at noon, particularly labourers who fail to rest, risk encountering her. In some tales, she appears as a pale woman or wraith-like figure, questioning or disorienting those she meets. In others, she brings heat stroke, madness, or sudden illness. Like many spirits of the land, she exists at the threshold between warning and punishment. Habernitsa may be understood as both a guardian of natural rhythms and a manifestation of the dangers of overexertion beneath the blazing sun. Her presence serves as a reminder to honour the body, respect the land, and withdraw during the liminal hours when the veil shimmers in the heat. In this way, she echoes a wider current found across European folklore, that the fields are not empty but watched, and that even in daylight, there are moments when the human world brushes against something older, quieter, and far less forgiving. That is all I have for you today, witches. I will be back soon. I'm on it. I'm back on it. I've got some other episodes lined up. And until then, I'm sending you lots and lots of witchy love.